Okay, we're here now at Forrest Nelson's farm here in beautiful Cawston, which is the organic capital of Canada. And coincidentally here, Forrest actually did his own calendar back in 2004. So if you can tell us a little bit about your farm here, Forrest.
Well, I'm a ground cropper. I grow vegetables, predominantly tomatoes and bell peppers. Many different tomatoes, like cherry tomatoes and aromas, and field tomatoes, orange tomatoes. I don't do very many of the heirloom tomatoes. I've not had a lot of luck at it, so
Okay.
I'm stuck with what I've had success with. Bell peppers, a few herbs. You can see some basil just over here.
Okay.
Melons, eggplant, and cucumbers.
Nice.
Pretty much rounds it out. And, I've got 22 nectarine trees.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the extent of my orchard.
Okay. So how many acres is your farm here?
I own 2 and lease another 3, so I'm operating 5.
5.
Yeah.
And how long has your family had this?
Well, I bought this in '96, and my folks have been farming since the '70s on the same piece of property, and organically, I think they transitioned from conventional to organic in 1991, I think. Yeah, 91 or 92.
So what made the switch over to organic?
Well, you'd have to ask Dad and Mom. I think they changed mostly just philosophically, you know, the idea behind it. They grew up in the '60s. I was born in '69, so they were, I don't know if they were counterculture, but they were definitely liberated or liberal.
Okay.
Liberal-minded, I guess. So that probably had a lot to do with it. My mom was a teacher, so it wasn't. I don't think it was money, a money decision. You know, it's probably just philosophical. You know, my brother was younger too, so he was like 6 years old when they changed, or 10 years old when they changed. So, plus a lot of people were doing it.
Yeah.
A lot of people were making, like, if you asked if there's 100 local farmers, which there probably isn't quite yet, that are organic, any of them that are over the age of 50 probably changed in the early 90s from conventional farming. Yeah. It just kind of really took, like, organics kind of took hold, I would say, locally in the early 90s. There's some people that have been doing it a lot longer, like Lee McFadden and George Zebroff, to name a couple, and since the '70s, they're pretty much the grandmother of organics. Those two.
Really?
Well, locally, yeah, they're the historically they're the initiators.
And that's George Zebra?
George Zebroff, yeah,
Okay.
and that's Yuri's dad, and Lee McFadden.
Okay.
Good people to talk to.
Yeah.
This guy driving down the street's another one. That's my neighbor Guy Villacour. He's a long-time organic grower too.
Okay.
I'm lucky here. I've got organics all around me. I don't have any buffer zones.
Yeah, I know. That's a big reason for locals supporting locals, putting this together, just to raise awareness to what's happening with food today. A lot of people aren't aware. They think organic is a fad, or they don't realize the importance in that. Organic just means original.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the side effects, all these pesticides that they're using, but genetically modified foods is something that's really concerning a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any concerns on?
Well, I think our certifying bodies are the agencies that control how we farm organically. The certifying bodies, they've got a good thing going. Like, GMO is not allowed. It's restricted. Not restricted. It's not allowed. Period. There's no gray area. It's a definite no. But it's affected other farmers that are trying to grow organically around GMO. It doesn't happen here because GMO has really only affected the grains so far. But alfalfa, I don't know. But out in the prairies, there's farms that they can't be organic anymore because of the drift, the pollen drift
Yeah.
from the GMO crops.
Yeah, I understand it's about 60% now they've taken over Alberta, the GMOs.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna. Something bad's gonna happen there, and nobody knows what it's gonna be. It's like that tsunami in Japan. Nobody could have ever expected that a tsunami would cause the meltdown of that reactor, or else they wouldn't have put it right there next to the ocean, right? But it happened. So you can't predict these things. We don't even know what's gonna happen, and that's the really. I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime, but it's gonna happen.
We're just talking about GMO-free supermarkets. You know, not just a GMO-free Okanagan here, but at least, you know, I mean, I know talking with Joe Sardini, he had mentioned to me that they want to force the labeling of GMOs because of the repercussions from the consumer, especially as more awareness needs support. If there's a backlash, so they want, or they're trying to demand labeling of GMO foods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should. I don't understand why it already isn't.
I know in Europe, I mean, it's mandatory. I think England. Yeah, well, most of Europe, it's automatic. But even a lot of the natural health companies that are claiming to be organic and are starting to compromise and putting some of the GMO vitamin C, like the orange and stuff like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, I mean, because there's different rules for every country what organic means.
Yeah.
You know, and they're even looking at doing this in the United States now. Is if it's a genetically modified seed grown in the organic fashion, they can actually consider it to be organic.
Yeah.
You know, like that just goes against the whole everything about organic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's genetic modification all the time. That's why we have such a beautiful, diverse planet with millions of different species. It all came from one little green piece of algae or whatever that crawled out of the ocean, and now we've got so many. But this is billions of years it takes,
Yeah.
and they're doing what evolution has taken millions and billions of years to do in an instant, putting octopus genes in tomatoes so they can tell when the plants are needing water. That's a good one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know also they've come up with the Terminator gene to inject it into the seed, which makes the plant sterile. Now the problem with that is the side effects to the humans as well. But this way Monsanto controls the seeds of the world because nobody's allowed to save their seeds if you're with Monsanto. You know, and this is what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's a corporate takeover of our food supply. So the only way, you know, to stop this is, you know, it's where you lay your dollar at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, that will determine what's on your dinner table. And
your grandchildren's and their children's.
yeah, it's not just us. I mean, I know some people I've talked to. You know, the comments have been, oh, we all gotta die sometime. You know, come on, kids. You know, it's when you say that, then you know you have a child with you, and now you're making decisions for your child, and that's, you know, it's no longer ignorance is bliss anymore. People actually have to start being more vocal. When you go to the grocery stores, demand it. If they don't label their foods, the GMOs, just say, well, you know, sorry, I can't support you this month. I'm going to be shopping somewhere else, but I'll try you again next month. You know, and I think that's what will make the shift in the supermarkets as well, and supporting their local farmer. You know, I mean, they don't.
Yeah, it's so tough. I mean, I just talking to a buyer or a customer that buys my product, hundreds and thousands of pounds a week. He told me, yeah, I'm selling your tomatoes to a store in Osoyoos. Well, that's great, but I thought you said the truck was going to Vancouver. It is. The truck's going to Vancouver, and it's warehoused in Vancouver and shipped past Cawston to Osoyoos again. So the product is traveling about 650 kilometers instead of 35.
Why is that?
Central warehousing.
Why does it have to go down there?
They can't. They don't think that way. There's the food hub, or their warehouse hub. Everything comes in there. They pick it and they pack it, and the pallets get built, and then they get sent to their. It's a chain store, so
Yep.
there's 10 or 20 of them in the province or whatever. And Vancouver is where all the food comes, and then it gets dispersed again. So in this case, my tomatoes are going over that humpy bumpy road, 350k,
Yeah.
and then they come back another 385k to Osoyoos.
Wow.
Instead of just going 35k.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
It happens all the time, dude. You know, the average mileage on a piece of food, doesn't matter if it's whatever, any food that we eat, is something like 1500k. That's the average.
Wow.
1500 kilometers food travels before it hits your plate. So I mean, a lot of that is the 7,000k that bananas got to come, right? And the cheese and the milk or whatever, it's 100 or 200. But this one here kind of blew me away, the whole Osoyoos trip, because it's happening to me. You know,
Yeah, no
it's
kidding.
not just something you hear about. So, yeah, that kind of made it real.
Yeah.
The whole 100-mile diet idea, you know, which is another good reason for eating local, and obviously GMO free. But yeah, there's lots of different ideology that come with organic farming, or any farming, I think, for that matter. I mean, organic farming, I just watched a really cool program on Discovery Channel. We store more carbon than conventional farm, just because of the way composting affects carbon, and it holds more. So it's another reason to buy organically, is because we store more carbon than conventional farm will.
Wow.
Part of it's because we grow green crops in the off season, and most of it's because we create humus. We're always composting dead material and creating topsoil,
Okay.
and topsoil is one of the biggest harbors for carbon. Very interesting. I wish I knew verbatim, but that's the gist of it.
Okay. Well, it's the same thing for me. I mean, I jokingly say with people, you know, I went deep down the rabbit hole, you know, and I figured, you know, I saw a lot of what's taking place in our world, but more importantly, what's happening in our food. So I don't know anything about farming. So I'm pretty much educating myself at the same time. I started doing some farm sharing with farmers, you know, to learn more about it, getting reconnected where the food comes from. Because unfortunately, kids today think it comes from Walmart and McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's why I said there's some great farms, though, that are doing farm tours. I know Covert Farm does organic farming for kids as well. You know, so kids can go back to actually, you know, learning about farming. So, anyways, we got to wrap this up here, Forrest. But if you can tell the people here, you know, where they can find you.
Okay. Well, they can phone me and come here if they want to buy directly. And that's 250-499-5757. We're at the Penticton Farmers Market on Saturdays from 8:30 until noon. And we're at the Kitsilano Farmers Market in Kitsilano on Sundays from 10 till 2.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Forrest.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll see you at the market.
Thanks, Jim.